to New Year's Eve today, and in just about maybe 7 hours from now, Nigerians will be bidding farewell to 2024 and then ushering 2025. Thanks for joining us on the program. This is Beyond 100 Days. I am Precious Amayu. Now remember that you can always follow the conversation on Twitter or X now using the hashtag Beyond 100 Days, and also mentioning our handle at TVC News NG. Now it's 2025 in some parts of the world already, and the first country to celebrate New Year is the Pacific island of Kiribati. Their clock struck 12 a.m. of January the 1st when it was 12 p.m. here in Nigeria, meaning they're 12 hours ahead. And the next country to ring in the year 2025 was in New Zealand when it was 1 p.m. in Nigeria. Now, also earlier today, fireworks blasted off the Sydney Harbour Bridge and across the bay as people in Australia rang in the new year. The last to greet 2025 are Baker Island and Howland Island, two uninhabited territories of the United States. Our TVC News is watching and will bring you updates as the New Year wave continues its journey across the globe. All right, so on the show today, the last of 2024, we take a look at some of the events that shaped the nation in the course of the year. Nigerians are still talking about the controversial tax reform bills, but President Tinubu says no going back. The recent 2025 budget estimate has been hailed as a move in the right direction, and just yesterday, the Warri refinery began operations. And now joining his Port Harcourt counterpart as President Tinubu ramps up efforts to increase local refining capacity. Joining me now to discuss these developments, among many others, is the co-founder of Africa Data Warehouse, Bayo Adedosu. He joins me live from Toronto, Canada. Good to have you join us.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year in advance, because by the time I'm doing my own Happy New Year, you'll be in bed.
Absolutely. We are, I think, 6-7 hours ahead of Toronto, Canada as well. In some parts of Canada, some parts is higher.
Yeah, for Ontario, Nigeria is 6 hours ahead. So when it is 12 midnight our time, you will be 6 a.m. So I'm sure you'll just be waking up to prepare.
So let me just wish you the happy New Year now, because we'll be sleeping at a time. But let's talk about Nigeria, because things were quite interesting this year. A lot happened for good, of the country, but also one that took a toll on Nigerians. So what do you make of the trajectory of the country this year under President Bola Tinubu?
Thank you very much for actually having this review. I'm happy that Nigeria is ending the year on a big one, on a big note. And why did I say Nigeria is ending it on a big one? Simply because the Warri refinery came on. Even though it is at 60% capacity right now, but nobody at the inception of this administration, let us point something out here. This administration is only 19 months old. Nobody give it a thought that Port Harcourt refineries, Warri refineries could be revived. Past administrations have said it was almost impossible or not even possible to bring back this refinery. And let's also remember that there was a time that these refineries were actually sold like carcass to some private investors. But today, as we are ending the year, we have 2 government-owned refineries that are coming back to life. That is a huge one. And unfortunately, Nigerians are not understanding the impact, the economic impact, the socio-economic impact of that singular act of the 2 refineries coming on board. Earlier in the year, Dangote refinery started commercial operations, and Nigerians felt they were at the mercy of Dangote refineries. But as it would happen, Warri refinery Port Harcourt came on without any announcement. And one thing that actually aches my heart in all of this is the skepticism and the disdain for anything good when it's coming on stream that some Nigerians attach to progress of the country. It's not fair. We focus too much on the negatives. Not that we should not highlight the negative, but we highlight the negative and forgetting that a lot of gains have been made. Because
but if I may come in, Mr. Adedosu, because I understand that you're talking about highlighting the game. But first of all, let me say that work on these refineries, especially one of Port Harcourt, started under the previous administration, not this one. Of course, the president should be commended for seeing it through. But just to say, you're saying that, Nigerians, of course, complaining, berating this administration and not seeing the gains. It's one thing for example, we know that this is maybe one of the few Christmases or Yuletide where we've not had fuel scarcity. But it's also, one where a lot of Nigerians are also struggling to buy the product because of the price. So it's even when they see the gains, but it's almost difficult to take hold of the gains because, of the affordability of it.
That is where a lot of Nigeria have made mistake about deregulation. When people are rejoicing about deregulation some years ago, I was saying to myself, if only Nigerians understood what deregulation actually meant, they would refrain from the way they were rejoicing. Deregulation does not mean cheaper fuel. It simply means that economic indices, that the global oil market will dictate the price of oil at the local pump stations as well. Let me give you an example. Today, right now in the morning, the liter of petrol close to me in my city is $1.72 or thereabout. By the time it is evening time, $1.52. By the time it is evening time, it might come down to like $1.46. That is the fluctuation that is in deregulation that Nigerians don't understand. Deregulation does not promise you cheaper fuel because it now simply means government is no longer subsidizing, is no longer involved in the management of this sector, is no longer providing any form of support to the system. That is the thing that Nigerians don't understand. And one of the reasons why the price has been this high all along was simply because we didn't have local refineries. We were importing fuel. For as long as you depend on importation, you will not have prices coming down. But now there is competition. There was a time Nigerians were asking Dangote, how much are you selling a liter of fuel to NNPC? Nobody could ascertain because we need to know, Nigerians need to know what the cost of a liter of petrol is from production to delivery to the fuel stations. Nobody could tell. But now we are seeing price war. We are seeing competition. And just let me also cite the example here. You can have on a street, on a stretch of the road, you can have three gas stations, and they are not selling at the same price. They have different prices they are selling. So it is up to you to go to the gas station that you choose to go to, or the gas station that has some loyalty programs that as you're buying the gas, you're also getting some loyalty rewards. So this is something that with the refineries coming on board, coming back to life, trust me, we'll begin to see a reduction in the pump price. And like you said, that the refineries, the revival of the refineries was started by the previous government. That is what is called government. Government is a continuum. It's a continuous process. There are projects that the previous administration that it completed and it took the glory for it. The fact that it was started by a different administration and this administration has seen to the completion of this turnaround maintenance and reviving them, it does not mean we should not give them their flowers. I will give them.
So, Mr. Adedosu, first of all, I'm not sure there's any petrol, well, not that I know of. Running loyalty programs where people can buy and get loyalty reward. This is, you were speaking as though this is Canada, but it's Nigeria. But I wanted to also talk to you about, it is not just affordability of petrol is just one thing. There is the food prices, there is also inflation and just generally high cost of living, rent and all. And so people are forced to choose, between priorities, what they can afford. And that's why for a lot of people, even when they see the gains, because they cannot, they are cherry picking of which of the gains they can afford, it just makes it look a bit difficult to say these are gains. And I just also wanted to respond to that.
Thank you very much. Before I actually respond to that, I think one major goal that this administration has called in the life of this year, 2024, is the local government autonomy. Just quickly to put it out there, because development should start from the grassroots. The closest government to the people is the local government. Unfortunately, local government administration have been washed away by emperors, by governors who are emperors, simply because they've taken over the control of local government administration and they pocket funds that are meant to go to local government, to the local government. Together, I need to see people from the southwest what is the policy? What is the policy?
All right, thanks for staying with us on Beyond 100 Days. The very last one for the year, tomorrow to be the 1st of January 2025. But we've been speaking on the issues, we're looking at 2024 review, some of the issues, that came up, developments that also came up gains in this administration in the last 1 year. We'll be speaking with the co-founder of Africa Data House, Bayo, and he's joining us from Toronto, Canada. Thank you so much for staying with us. I said I was going to let you finish your thought. I will let you finish that thought. I also wanted to add this to it. As we talk about the tax reform bills, which is quite controversial, the president said he's not going to go back on it, but it looks like the northern governors do have issues with that bill. What do you make of it?
Let me quickly finish my flow of thoughts before we went on break. Yeah, I was saying something. A nation will have in abundance what it concentrates its energy on, okay? And at the developed nations that we are talking about, they are not just developed, they are developed simply because their citizens are conscious about bringing development. It is the citizen that actually builds or destroys a nation. Go down Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. What do we have? We have religious centers and these religious centers have people who continue to shout a big power. How are they meeting the needs of the poor? Is it the religious centers that will actually put food on the table? We are not focusing on the right things. And when you don't focus on the right things, you continue to make noise for all the wrong reasons. We have lands that can be cultivated, yet it's either one university is there or one religious center is there. That is not the practice. That is not how citizens of the developed nations actually grow their country.
I don't see why they have to be mutually exclusive. Can't development and faith go hand in hand? Development is a thing of government, and then faith can go on. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. But I wanted to quickly touch because of time.
Sorry, let me correct you on that. Let me correct you.
Because of time, my apologies.
In the Western world is a social service. Religion in the Western world is a social service.
I would really love you to speak on that, but I don't want us to deviate.
I will not go there. Let me talk about the tax reform.
Let's talk about tax reform bills, yes.
Yeah, let's talk about the tax reform. And all the noise against the tax reform, when you actually sit down and try to have a conversation with the people who are opposing these tax reforms, they cannot tell you in concrete terms what they are actually against in the tax reforms. The tax reforms is made up of four bills. What are they saying? Oh, it's going to impoverish a particular area of the country. It's going to do this in what sense? Because what it simply means is let people grow. Because in the past, the formula that has been used in the past actually favored some states more than some other states. But we are this tax reform is bringing equity and is redefining the sharing formula because they focus too much on just the VAT sharing. They are not focusing on other components of the tax reform. And one good thing, let me give it to the president. A serious leader will not pander, and a serious leader will not flinch because he has a country to run. And for him to run the country, one of the best decisions, one of the best gains of this government so far is the ability to take tough decisions and stand by it. There is a song that is called No Pain, No Gain. There is no way, even the people, when you say you jackpot to a new country and all that, you need to endure some pain before you begin to see the gains. But in Nigeria, we don't want to climb the tree from the base. We want to climb the tree from the top. It's not going to work like that. The people who have been shouting, trying to bring down the tax reform bill are only doing it for political reasons. They do not have any concrete or cogent reason for attacking this tax reform bill. And if they do not have it, let them go to the National Assembly. Remember, the tax reform bill took more than a year to put together. There were engagements with different sectors of the economy, with different groups. Why is it that at that point in time, they could not articulate their position and make sure that their views, their concerns are encoded in the bill? Why is it that they waited for the bills to be transit to the National Assembly before they started waging war? This is nothing. And you see, the noise is, we are going to show you our true color. No particular zone, no particular state holds the vein of the country or should hold the country to ransom. Let's get it clear. Nigeria needs tough reforms. We need institutions. A leader that is thinking of building a legacy will not think of political correctness, will only do things that will put structures in place for subsequent government, for subsequent leaders to build on. We have run away from taking these tough decisions for years. But Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu realized that if these tough decisions were not taken, Nigeria was going to go under. And I'm glad to remind us of something. During his presidential campaign, he said he was going to take tough decisions and that it's not going to be easy at the initial stage. But one thing I can assure, and one thing that I see from all the indices, is that Nigeria seems to be turning the cycle. And by 2025, we'll begin to see the gains in a bigger way that everybody will be able to feel.
You're jumping ahead of me now to make the projections, but I want to stay on because you've already mentioned 2025. Let's look at the 2025 budget, which the president has presented. A lot of people have said it is quite ambitious. Some people have commended the president for, the key areas or the key priority areas of that budget. There is security and defense. There is health, infrastructure, and education. Over 47 trillion naira. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Let me go back to a focused leader. A visionary leader has to be ambitious. He made a statement when he had the presidential chart. He said he was drawing water from a dry well. Do you know what that means? Imagine you throwing your bucket inside a well that has next to nothing inside it. It simply means you need to dig deeper to actually bring out water from that well. And that is what the president is trying to do. One thing that I'll give to him again concerning this, I don't want it to sound like I'm just singing his praises. I know Nigeria has a lot of challenges, but together we can surmount our challenges. For the very first time, the president created zonal or regional development commissions. This is a fantastic move because all the while, NDDC, some people felt that the creation of NDDC was more of marginalization against other zones, other regions within the country. But the government actually created 6 regional development commissions, which simply means if their regional leaders, their governors are smart, are intelligent, they know what they're doing, they are really trying to give the dividends of democracy to their people, they will work with their regional development commissions to bring development to their people. And when you look at the budget marked for these regional development commissions, it's also something that is really, really impressive. And
Mr. Adedosu, apologies, because I just want us to begin to wind down the conversation. The president said inflation would reduce drastically from over 30% that it is now to about 15%. I mean, almost looks, people are wondering how realistic that is. It seems too optimistic for even financial and economic analysts.
Well, it may look too ambitious, it may look strange, but don't let us forget one thing. The whole of this year, the president embarked on aggressive marketing. And just earlier this week or last week, a Saudi firm committed about $1.2 or $2.1 billion to agriculture. When we begin to see this investment, when this investment begins to germinate, they begin to bring things into the economy. That is how the inflation will go down. Let's look at one thing. Nigeria's total capital importation in the first half of 2024 was $5.98 billion, which is a significant increase of 176% from the same period in 2023. That tells a story. Okay? Nigeria also recorded a trade surplus of 5.81 trillion in Q3 of 2024, with total exports standing at 20.48 trillion. These are ways that you begin to see that the economy is being turned around and the inflation will actually come down on the long run because we are creating more business opportunities. We are exporting more goods than what we are doing before that relied so much on importation. When you rely so much on importation, you are not growing your economy, you are growing the economy of the countries where you import from. But with this government, we've actually seen more activities in the area of export, in the area of trade. And with that, we have more inflow coming into the country. And that is one thing that eventually will drive the inflation down. And for inflation to also come down, Nigerians as a whole, and this is one thing I'm passionate about, we need to be patriotic. And patriotism is not a function, is not the lack of challenges in the country, but a social contract that as citizens we owe to our country, irrespective of the leadership of that country. Your patriotism is not to the leaders. Your patriotism is not to your elected government officials. It is to the country. And part of that simply means having the right projection. Nigerians don't know what we do on social media, all the things we push out, how it affects investors' confidence. Nigerians don't understand what is called perception index for investors. I was talking to some people in Canada recently, and what was happening on was insecurity based on social media postings. We need to do better.
Well, people also feel like they want to feel like they are being seen and they are being heard and their concerns are being addressed. So I guess it's a whole lot to unpack. Well, you have made your projections into 2025. We will see how it plays out. A pleasure to have you on and your analysis. I'm co-founder of Africa Data Warehouse, Bayo Adedosu, who joined us from Toronto, Canada. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy New Year once again in advance.
I wish you the same. All right, that's the very, very last Beyond 100 Days or episode of Beyond 100 Days for 2024. For me and on behalf of Nifemi Oguntoye, I would say Happy New Year in advance. We're back here tomorrow for a new episode, a New Year's episode. But remember, you can watch this repeat episode at midnight and at 6 a.m. Tomorrow morning. I am Precious Amayu. Thanks for watching.